All right, you're good to go now.
All right, cool. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is why I enjoy and create interactive slides. And the first thing is I feel that they're very user-friendly. They are user-friendly for myself. I feel that it's easy to navigate Google Slides and the platform. And I like how you can use it on your school computer, if you're on an iPad, if you're on a Mac, or it's a very versatile platform. And I've also found that to be true when students are using it as well. I've had feedback from parents and students who find it easy to use when they're on their Chromebook, when they're on, like I said, on their parents' computer or their iPad. And especially when you're making the click and drag activities, it's really nice for them to just be able to touch the screen and drag when they're using the iPads. And I found that most of my students are using iPads and different touchscreen tablets like that. Slides are easy to read. I've seen and I've used different materials where sometimes you can put it on like a doc, or if you like screenshot a worksheet or something like that. And with the smaller canvas of the slide, it's a lot easier for you to read on your screen and for students to read on theirs. And lastly, the thing that I really enjoy the most about interactive slides is that they're really easy to personalize, not just the aesthetic way of how you make them look, but how many times have you seen a resource and you're like, oh, I really like this part, but I don't like the second part of it, or this isn't really what I need or what I'm teaching. And with the Google slide and making your own, you can tailor it to exactly what your students need and what you're looking to teach at this point in time. So the slide that I'm going to show you how to make today, I'm going to teach you how to make some word study slides from Jan Richardson and her material. I've seen some people online who are still conducting their live guided reading groups, and these slides are really a great thing for completing them together in your group, but they're also nice for you to be able to assign in classroom for students to maybe work on after your reading group, or maybe it's something that you've worked on throughout the year, so it's a great way to review what you've been working on. The first thing that I did was I created a replica magnetic letter whiteboard. And for this slide, I used this website right here. It's called iconfinder.com. And when you're on there, you can search for exactly what kind of letters you're looking for, down to the color, down to lowercase and uppercase. Whatever you're looking for. I picked these colors because I felt like they looked exactly like the ones we use in our classroom. And with these, with these letters, I can't really click on them right now, but they are just in text boxes. I've made a lot of best friends in Google Slides during NTI, and my number one best friend is the text box, because if it's whatever image it is or whatever, they can click and drag that everywhere throughout the screen. So these letters on here are completely movable. If you wanted, you could just use this board. Or something else that I do that you'll see in just a second is I copy and paste the letters off of this board into my other documents and other slides that I use.
So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like, man, like you could have like a refrigerator picture on there and like just drag these look like the magnets you put on your refrigerator. So pretty cool.
Exactly, yeah. And that's also the great thing about Google Slides is how easy it is to add an image and change your background. So you could get an image of a refrigerator and put it on a Google slide and put these letters on it. And it would be like if you had a preschooler or something, you could digitally practice doing the letters on your refrigerator. So it's really cool. So when I made these slides for myself, The 2 slides I made are for transitional readers from Jan Richardson. Later in the slide, I have some for that you can see. But when I made these slides, the number one thing that I did was I was able to add audio to the slide, and also at the end, I added a place for a Screencastify video. I know I've said a ton, if you've been on Twitter or anywhere really, that Screencastify has saved my NTI life. I love Screencastify. If you don't use it, you should look into it. There's also a great video on the Digital Learning channel about Screencastify. It is a lifesaver, I promise you. But so that was the big thing with these slides that kind of made them different than just a normal slide. So the first thing I did was, obviously, I just made text boxes with instructions. And then I made a table and just did one row, obviously, with however many letters are needed for that word.
So Casey, just right here. So like all you're doing right now is like you've just used it. Like if you think about your menu bar in Google Slides, you're just going to insert text box, insert table, right?
Correct. Yeah, and some people might even have it up there on their bar underneath all of that, where they can just click the picture where it has like the T inside the box. Like it's a one-stop shop.
There you go. Lots of information.
Yeah, like that's another great thing. There's tons of options. So for the audio, Google Slides is kind of weird. They really only want it. They're very particular. They're not weird, but they really want you to use the MP4, type of audio. And I know there's a lot of different audio converter, like, extensions on Chrome and all that. I personally, from my Google Drive, found a third party audio recorder. It's called Cloud Audio, and Google gives that it's an option on your Google Drive when you're trying to convert a file. I've also learned that it's a Google Drive extension, and you can add it to your Waffle. And I can take you, if it'll work, to the website and what it looks like. This little sketch, not gonna lie to you. But the great part about this website, and that I really liked, is you have the option to save it automatically to your Google Drive. So you don't have to go and find it. And you do it all right here. You can hit the start button, record your audio, what you're going to say. In my slides, I recorded the word that they were trying to make in the big word. Just hit stop when you were done. And then you can export it as an MP3. Google Slides will take an MP3 or an MP4. And down here, it says save to Google Drive. And from that point, it will allow you to export it to your Google Drive. And it will be right there, folder for you to insert into the slide. And then when you're ready to insert audio into a slide, I'll create and show you. You just go to insert, and then there's an audio button, and it will take you to your Google Drive folder, and it will only show you the audio files that are in your folder, in your drive. So you would click, so if I clicked cat and you click select, it will bring a speaker onto your screen, which you can click and drag everywhere and resize. And when you hit the play button, it will play your audio that you recorded for your slide. And a lot of the times I like to either, if you're dealing with pictures, or if you're dealing with certain words, or maybe you're wanting to record instructions, you can click and drag it up near where you want the students to listen. And when they hover over it, it will appear right there. So that was a very cool thing that I was able to insert for my students. And then the last thing, just to make it seem like a realistic word study activity, a small group, just like you would say the word and expect them to manipulate the letters to fill in the box and break it apart into syllables. You're then also going to explain why they did what they did and kind of wrap up the lesson. So instead of just handing them this slide and being like, here you go, good luck, hope you got it right, I created, and you can use any image, a screencastify for each lesson. And when they're finished and they click this big red button, the screencastify file will pop up and they will be able to have an explanation for the activity right there, to have it explained to them, which is especially awesome if they are doing this as an assignment and you're not there to explain it in a live small group. So those were the two main things I did with my slides. This is make a big word. I did the same thing with making analogy charts. I put the words in the word bank and were able to insert audio for each word so students could hear the word. And then there was also audio for the two words in the top of the chart that they were trying to match the sounds for. So yes, so those are the two word study slides that I did. And like I said, the big thing was adding audio and adding the screencastify to give a realistic feel of being in your reading group in the classroom, and allowing students to be successful. And yes.
Well, so what's neat about this is so with your word bank there, I mean, this is a reusable resource because all you do, I mean, your word bank will change week to week. But you have your template right here, which is nice.
Yeah, that's the other great thing about this is you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you want to use it. Like you said, you can just change your words and change your audio and re-record your screencastify. But as far as the template goes and the hard part of it all, you can reuse it every week. And sometimes, and as the more you use it, it'll get easier for your students because it'll become just more of a routine. So they'll know exactly what to do when they see these slides, which makes a huge difference. But so, like I said, these are for transitional readers. Our literacy coach who's in the chat, she has also made some slides. You can follow her on the Twitter, and that is the link to her literacy site. She has some awesome activities on there. Be sure to check it out. But she has taken what I've done, and she has gone through and created them for all readers and all levels. So it's available to everyone in our school. Here's one she did for making words. And as you can see, she over here on the right side, she included her audio of her speaking word, so students can hear the sounds and break it apart. And then her check marks are her screencastifies for each word that they're building, so she can explain what they did and what their letters should look like, and the sounds that they should have heard. And then she also did some picture sorts where she used Jan Richardson's and found the pictures. Her audio clips are over top the pictures, so then the student can hear the word and they can drag it to the correct side and for the blend. And then again, her big blue check mark is where they can check their work at the end of moving all the pictures to make sure everything is in the correct spot. And then lastly, she for our fluent readers, she did make a big word just like I did. Obviously this word is a lot longer than mine, so this is for your higher readers. But she even took it a next step, and she created an additional slide where they can break the word down into syllables, and then they're able to click and check the work and hear it on the speaker, not necessarily seeing it on the Screencastify, as they're probably higher, more mature readers. But it was pretty cool how with this slide and with those higher readers and older students, more than likely, she was really able to recreate that in-person reading group and do every step that they would have done in their word study. So that was very cool. And so if she has tons of activities like this on her literacy site, like I said, you can follow that link on the slide and you can check out all of the cool activities that she has created. Also, so the literacy slides are something, like I said, that I did and added the audios, the Screencastifys, and to kind of make them different from others. But I just wanted to show you guys some other slides that I made for math and ELA. The beginning of this, my students were learning time. Like I said earlier, it's really easy and it's a great way to be able to insert images. Images and text boxes are the main two things on Google Slides. So I was able to get the blank Apple Watch looking template, and I just put text boxes inside of them and wrote the time. And then another tool that has become my best friend on Google Slides is the line drawing tool. And so I just found a template with a blank clock face and was able to draw the hands of the clock. And so they would be different each time.
That is so cool.
And then this is an example of a click and drag activity. So the yeses and nos in the bottom right-hand corner are just in text boxes, and the students were able to tap or click and drag them over to the correct box under for their answer. So, and this was an activity they did one day. It's super short. It's super sweet. Shows you what they know, but also kind of registers with them, and they got a kick out of the Apple Watches, and it's super easy to make, and it's really convenient for your students. I did some. We're also talking about money. So these are more where you can click and type, not necessarily click and drag. These next two are the same thing with more of the click and type instead of click and drag. But the reason I put these two on here is because if you have the permissions to, if you're using, certain resources and stuff, for our math program, I was able to screenshot and put those images in my slides. So, this making change from a dollar chart up at the top is from a worksheet that I would have printed for my students and to put in a dry erase sleeve to use in our small group. So I was able to screenshot the image, insert it into the slide as an image, and then just put text boxes in the blank where they could fill it out just like they were sitting at my table. And the images on the bottom are the exact images that they would have looked at in our small group. So that's another great thing about Google Slides is that you can create a quote-unquote worksheet, but with adding text boxes and stuff like that, it makes it more interactive and kind of clean looking than trying to scan it or that kind of thing and stretch it out and put it in a doc.
Yeah. So looking at this,
example,
you've basically taken your small group instruction and brought it into this world, and so that's a great implication for when we do go back. Just to bring this into that world. I mean, you've kind of converted seamlessly here, which is nice. Somebody has a question. They're like, where did you get your fonts? Are those fonts like in Google? I guess the directions font.
I was saying the directions box. Yes, they're in. It's a Google font.
Do you know what it's called?
Slides font, and it is. Amatic SC. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Amatic SC. Somebody, I'll type that in the chat.
Yeah. Amatic SC.
Nice.
And so this is another example of something that my students are completing. For reading, I've been able to make comprehension slides where, again, just using text boxes, they're able to type their responses. It's kind of neatly spread out for them to respond to reading. And then here's another example for when we're studying our new comprehension strategies, just using the table tool. Like I said, inserting text boxes, give students the chance to type and respond via the slides, and just click right in there. And like I said, super convenient using a tablet or a computer. And then here's another example of where if you have all the permissions that you can screenshot and create familiar documents for your students. My higher reading group before we left was starting to get into reciprocal teaching. I wanted to give it a try and have them do a live document where they could all edit last week. So I was able to insert the cards that they were used to reading and the chart that they were used to seeing, and again, just inserted text boxes. So to give them the familiarity of their assignment, they were able to see this and they knew exactly what to do. I got quite a few messages from them, and we're like, this is exactly what we did in the room. And so being able to bring the routine and like I said, the familiarity to my digital classroom from my physical classroom has helped my students be successful tremendously. It's been a total game changer, for sure. And the last thing I was going to show is with Google Slides, you don't necessarily have to use it for activities and for interactive activities. I use Google Slides for a lot of things. Wanted to share. I used it creating my contact card for my students, so I was able, and my parents, so I was able to make like a business card to share, and I fully plan on making something like this next year for my class when we get back in the classroom. I'm able to use Google Slides for a schedule for our week for the parents. And I know this looks super jumbled and crazy, but the nice part is, and again, Screencastify, lifesaver. When my parents and my students click on each day and the subject, they get a Screencastify with the instructions of what the expectations are and what they're supposed to do. And it gives them an opportunity to see what we're doing instead of going into Google Classroom and being like, oh, this only says Monday. Who knows what this is going to be? And the last thing that I did that you can use Google Slides for is a great way to create documents and other things. I know administrations and different things are trying to come up with some of these documents that we fill out at the end of the year. And so I was able to make a replica of our school's feeder card.
Wow.
For our administration. So it got very bright. Sorry to turn your eyes. That's what the real ones look like. So was able to use Google Slides to make a replication of our feeder card for our school. So Google Slides is also a really big asset, not just to teachers in the classroom making activities for their students, but administrations and different groups like that can also use it to make things for their staff and, for their needs as well.
Wow. I think I hear your email inbox exploding for that feeder card replica you've created there.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Thank you for sharing today.